Hi, I'm Joe Gertis, and this is Coffee in the Capitol. We're here in the office of State Senator Mike Regan, Chair of the Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee, Vice Chair of the Local Government Committee, and a former U.S. Marshal. Thank you, Senator, for hosting us.
Pleasure. Good to be with you, Joe.
Senator, let's get right at it, talk about the ongoing volunteer firefighter and EMS shortage. You spent more than 2 decades in law enforcement and public safety, so I know this topic is near and dear to your heart. What troubles you most about this crisis?
Well, we're losing our volunteers. I mean, I think that's a huge problem. We are, I think in the 70s we were at about 300,000 volunteer firefighters. Now we're down to about 38,000, which is an alarming decrease. So I think, as a legislature, it's incumbent upon us to introduce legislation which will spur volunteerism. It's something that's such a huge part of our country.
Sure.
Changing times, I guess. Things, people have different priorities now, but I think part of it is everyone's so busy. So I think we're just trying to make it more convenient. Introducing certain bills that will probably do that.
Sure. And your committee, the Veterans Affairs Emergency Preparedness Committee, is at the forefront of coming up with solutions to these types of problems and other public safety problems as well. Many were highlighted in the SR6 report. Tell us about the legislation you've seen and kind of been working on. I know there's been a lot coming your way from the House. I know you've got a lot in committee. Just in general, how, some of your thoughts on how we attack some of these issues.
I think one of the things that was crucial is we were able to pass a bill which allows online training.
Sure.
So, if you're a firefighter, you don't have to report to a training site. You can do the training online at home.
And that's a big deal, especially for a lot of our younger, would-be volunteers to be able to do that at home.
And we've allocated $250,000 to State Fire Commissioner so he can go after retain and retention of firefighters. I think that's a huge thing. We're just, we're just trying to create an environment where it's more appealing to people. Also, another thing we're looking at is, and we passed a bill through the Senate, was kids coming up through high school who want to be firefighters. Mm-hmm. In the past, they weren't able to participate in a certain level of fire training. With parental permission, they can take part in more of the intricate and more maybe volatile things of aspects of firefighting. So they can, when they turn 18 and they're ready to go, they can go right into being a fireman.
Right.
Which is, I think, going to be a big thing as well.
Right. We see a lot of volunteer companies around here offering, packages for student housing or whatever to stay in the firehouse or something. The younger volunteers are really what we really need to look to get back into the fire service.
Look, we need to, in order to fix this problem, we need to really open up our minds and be willing to experiment.
Sure. The worst thing that can happen is we make the 911 call and no one comes. So I know that's top on your list.
We need to look for alternatives. I think the alternatives are there. I don't know if we're ever going to get back to where we were at 300,000 volunteers, but I think we can certainly chip away. I hope we can.
Certainly. Senator, you also serve as Vice Chair of the Local Government Committee. What are some of the local issues you'd like to see the General Assembly tackle this remaining session here?
Well, one of the things we're just learning about now, it's a very complex, kind of a convoluted topic of MS4.
Sure.
Our many municipalities are adopting these MS4 regulations that are coming down from the federal government,
right.
and they're imposing fees upon not only residents of the municipalities, but also businesses, also nonprofits. And we're seeing, where big companies are being taxed a lot. Mm-hmm. You talk about the millions of dollars, but then you see the local churches that are barely surviving, or having used the collections from their collection plates to pay their MS4 fee or tax. And I really think that the money that's being collected, it's just not legitimate. We are working with some scientists right now to explain to us exactly how this is being done before our residents and the people who live in our municipalities are getting bilked out of a lot of money. We're trying to work on that.
Well, it's a huge issue for us as well, and not only from our MS4 communities, because we like to say, or we'll ask, are you an MS4 community? If you're not, you're going to be at some point, we believe. So it's very important looking down the road. This is a very expensive proposition. We all want clean water. but how we do it and how we measure it's really important to make sure we're doing it right.
We feel that the way it's done now, the way it's being put together now, is not really having much impact on the cleanliness of the bay.
Right.
And there's other ways we can do it, which will not cost nearly as much money to clean up the bay. So I think this is still in the learning process. This
Right.
is a very detailed issue.
Right.
But I feel confident that at some point in time we can come up with something that we can present, which will be a much better solution.
We certainly look forward to working with you on that. Senator, you're a fiscal conservative too, as many of our township officials are. What lessons could Harrisburg learn from Pennsylvania's local government leaders? I mean, we don't get to overspend. We have to make sure that we keep everything within budget and in check.
We're in a position coming up now, right in the middle of budget season.
Right.
We're going to be going through all these things again. There's proposals for different taxes, I think,
Right.
which we have to hold strong. I mean, we have to get along. We have to make sure we're governing in a kind of a bipartisan way. But look, we need to be like municipalities have to. They're held
Right.
to task.
Right.
We need to be held to task as well.
Right. Well, that's all the time we have today. I want to thank Senator Mike Regan for having us again here in his office. And remember, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe to PSATS YouTube channel and follow our social media pages for more Township Video News content. Next Tuesday, look for Dave Talk. And as always, thank you for watching.